Today it will be his final day of pre-season testing. He is currently in 5th with a 131.2. Nico Hulkenberg is 6th, a 131.5, and then Fernando Alonso is P7 so far. Esteban Ocon is 8th. Yuki Tsunoda, we haven't really seen respectable runs from
the steering wheel to Ferrari. And I guess when you've just turned 40, you've been in Formula One now nearly 20 years, the muscle memory that he's got from the Mercedes switches.
Yeah, it's wet. Damp.
Wants in the feeling of the Ferrari power unit when it's kicking in, how much you're having to harvest at the end of the straight. There might be a difference in some of the modes and how you're able to achieve consecutive push. There's going to be some scowls going on. I think we saw one with Carlos earlier on, trying to get back out there. New team for both of them, and they really need a clean day, and this is not helping them. Intermediates. Whoa, who'd have thought it in Bahrain?
Intermediates on the Haas.
On the outside. It's pretty damp.
Yeah, bizarre. As he comes now down through turn 8 and up towards...
Makes the track look worse than it probably is. Is he going straight through, and he's going to have another practice start? This time he peels into the correct box.
And he'll go for another standing start procedure.
With a fan base. He's won races at Prema. The crowds have gathered. They've flocked to see this young protege. You were there. You were overawed with what you saw. Fast forward 2 years, and he's in the Mercedes.
Who we can keep an eye on. Racing Bulls. It will be, I guess, a crucial season for him going straight in. I remember watching Isaac back in 2018 in the FIA Karting European Championship. Told him I think I came down the stairs at Zandvoort and said, "Oh, you're the quickest of the rookies," and he completely didn't care. He was like, "No, I need to go and win races." And
Greenwood, he's a tough character, Dave, doesn't he? He doesn't suffer fools.
No, he doesn't. I've got a lot of time for Dave, though. Not only does he not suffer fools gladly, but he talks a lot of common sense, and he has been there at the sharp end for many, many years at Formula One. Because of the cars so far that we've seen on the track, it seems to be the one that's spent a bit more time in the garage than the others. Yesterday, Lando Norris took an age to get out to the track in the afternoon session.
Know what they're getting.
I popped down to Mclaren a few weeks ago. I had lunch with Andrea Stella.
Oh, yeah.
He invited me down for lunch, which was absolutely wonderful. I must admit, to spend a bit of time having a chat with Andrea, who is a man that when he talks...
That's still going to flow in the right way, so I think they just thought, right, we'll run for now and we'll sort it out when we get to the break. Sorry, but coming back to Andrea Stella and McLaren, yeah, I agree. You know, Ted and I went down.
You might get at other places from time to time. It just seems like a really good place to be.
Well, hello, Crofty. Hello, Karun. Welcome, everybody, back down to the pit lane. Crofty, welcome to a slightly damp pit lane.
Okay. Up and running, and there were people in there with a model putting things on the model and stuff, and I've no idea what the model was of because they wouldn't tell me. They were sworn to secrecy.
Good. Well, it was still being commissioned when Karun were out with Norris. They have a few things to sort out because this is a new car and there are more changes on it than the outside would suggest, or that you might think was necessary given that they won the last Grand Prix and are the form team going into the season. But once they're on...
That described Lewis Hamilton's first day at Ferrari as underwhelming, or first day of testing as underwhelming, which I didn't really pick up. He was just going through the programme as it was.
You sure they weren't talking about the England batting in the testing there, don't they? So
I wish we were still racing there.
I really, of all the new circuits, that is actually got to be one of my favourites. Austin and that one.
Yeah. I'd sling Mokpo into the actual track.
The track was great, yeah. If it was 5 hours closer to Seoul, it would have been tremendous.
20 corners, couple of long straights, and the added hazard of a safety truck wandering onto the track at any time.
Different tonight, but it's tough to evaluate.
Trying to talk to our wonderful people in the gallery at the time. We were just watching Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
Young Karun, as we're going to call you this year. Now we know you're a rookie.
I am very youthful.
you're officially a rookie.
Checo Perez, as Piastri has a bit of a lock-up down at turn 1. If they're going to get rid of Perez, personally, I think at that point they should have signed Sainz, because I always think you need to sign the best two drivers. But that's what I mean. I think I think they could have dragged that out. There was no reason to do that extension so early.
Really?
Sainz was available until, you know, it was a summer break that got done, wasn't it?
Look, I agree with you.
And then giving Liam a chance when he's a bit more experienced. I really hope he proves me wrong, because he's a great character, he's a lovely guy. He's got that fire in his belly coffee that I kind of recognise as a driver who's come from
stable.
So to answer that question, I don't think so.
Right.
I really don't. I think Yuki did a great job last season, and he's improved an awful lot. But really, if you look at last year versus Liam, was he that much ahead of Liam? I don't think so.
Promoted up into the Red Bull senior team, then there's no kind of space for you on that. Logically, with Honda's association with Aston Martin, there's probably a reserve driver role for him there as part of that Aston driver squad. But
they've got Stoffel van Dorn, Felipe Drugovich, Pedro Dangeron. I came to South Volunteer to commentate with you because it's just like...
You were that bored.
There's a lot hanging around.
And that was just in the commentary box, to be honest. Into turn 10 we go with Oscar Piastri, a little unsteady. Under braking there, the McLaren.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's pretty important in terms of a race simulation.
100%. He's gone down to 131, Ted, which suggests to me that maybe they're doing a short run first, just to check the track conditions before they
say lights out and away we go.
Hopefully the lights won't actually all go out.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about that in a minute, actually. First and foremost, we can't see from here, and thank you, Ted, for the time being. But just watching Fernando Alonso's Aston Martin will flow through the piping.
48 metres.
Yeah, seriously. It's like your larger intestine. There's quite a lot. It might be quite small.
Yeah.
You know, and winds its way around, but you know, it's a lot of piping there.
We've had hot races in Malaysia and Singapore and places like that before. 5 kilos is a lot.
That's on top of the extra 2 kilos that the cars are weighing for this year anyway.
Yeah, another member of the suspension on that wishbone. It's just to give the car the feeling in the corners, especially the slow-speed corners, that Mercedes have been lacking, and to treat the tyres the way that they want to, which is to heat them up as quickly as possible. It's all to the same end with Mercedes.
Nico Hülkenberg, 6th fastest with his latest lap time, and that's his best of the session so far.
Hamilton's having a go as well. So the drivers are all... Maybe the track's starting to come back to them now a little bit. You know, it's dried up a bit, and they're starting to find some performance.
In terms of when they're on the track, we don't know fuel loads, we don't know engine modes, etc. But they'd be pretty similar, we'd have thought.
And it sort of picked up from where we ended last year, wasn't it? Mercedes and Ferrari close-ish. Ferrari with a 10.
But remember in Sao Paulo, Alex Albon got withdrawn at the last minute. Well, if that happens again, the grid will close up, and the final grid is now published an hour before the race, which is absolutely no use to commentators anyway.
Well, also, that's only 20 minutes before the pit lane opens.
Correct. As a rookie for an FP1 session.
No, I don't. Can't do FP1s.
So it's a bit like at HRT, mate. You can do FP1s then.
I'll make the comeback for FP2. It'll be fine.
Either way, rookies that have done fewer, minimum driver weight is increased from 80 kilos to 82 kilos.
Which is good for people like Piastri, you know, slightly taller drivers. Obviously, Nico Hülkenberg, Max Verstappen, Ollie Behrman.
Giants there. That's a Beagle's Ears front wing of the Indian Grand Prix, I think it was.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was almost taking off because it was flapping around.
So that's what I mean. This thing of we're tightening up the rules of flexi weeks, I feel like this chat's been going on now for 15 years. Yeah, but then you can't give the person who's finished in 20th a point when the person who's finished 11th gets 0. That's not fair, because the person who's finished 11th, you know what I mean? Like,
but there seems to be once again a story whereby the FIA president is deciding it's my ball. I'm going to
strategy, but because overtaking is basically impossible now, you know, you can have someone like this, like a Nico Hülkenberg, who, let's say, pits on lap 2. Goes for a bunch of free air.
Fastest lap, I think there should be a point for pole. Might make the championship a bit more interesting. But Joey says, Crofty, I agree with you. Make it available for everybody. And even if there's little action at the front, watch it liven up at the mid to back of the back. Alex Brundle, as we hand down to you, maybe we'll take another picture and get you in on this one.
Hello, guys. Welcome back down to the pit lane. I've dropped down to Alpine, actually. I don't know. it's
exactly that. And I think, again, it's one of these things, isn't it? We've been saying it for over a decade, and for some reason, clearly our voices aren't powerful enough, probably.
Well, when you are F1 president, that will change. I know it will.
To the lap.
Where are we?
Let's see here. Lewis gets on the curb, turns in. Always a bit of understeer there. He's just trying to mash the throttle and carry speed out. It is generally
this lap point. It was really time for that to go. Not on the basis that, you know, I don't really mind, you know, cars that aren't in the hunt or have a gap big enough behind them to come in for a set of softs, firing in the fastest lap. But it's something we see.
That's a bad spectacle for fans watching.
I do agree. It is rather also a moment sometimes that highlights the gaps in the field for us when somebody has enough time to take a pit stop at the end of the Grand Prix. You know, occasionally the fastest lap effort.
On several occasions last year with Lewis, you know, he would rather have been anywhere else on the planet than the cockpit of the W15. It's days where the car just didn't seem to work for him. But just watching the response,
a handle on it, because they've got way more data available to them, Karim Chandler. And also, one thing struck me in that interview from Pedro, who's a past master at the testing interview, you know, when Laura said, watch this, into turn 8.
Turn 8, yeah, Hulkenberg just dawdling, oh, it touched.
It is contact. That is absolute contact. Did Nico Hulkenberg know that Oscar was there and steaming down the inside?
Go fully to the left.
Park it, park it, park it. Oh, don't park it. Bang.
Yeah, I think Nico could have done more move out of the way, but equally Oscar overshot the braking there as well.
Oscar pinning the blade a few moments. But Saturday qualifying and the qualifying hour in Monaco is one of my highlights of the season. Watching and talking and commentating about Formula One. It is epic.
Big iconic parts, up Sandivord, past Beaurivage,
yes,
Casino Square, all that stuff. That's part of it.
Turn left at Portier.
Yeah, and then do another loop somewhere. Just make it part, but crucially, it has to be a part that's worth justifying.
But there's a bit
cost.
of me that says if you can accelerate the development of sustainable fuels and get to a point where you can manufacture more of it, but not use more energy than it takes to make the fuel in the first place, then
in terms of our program we're running through, I mean, you look well prepared. You had to make some tough decisions last year. At least those tough decisions are bearing fruit, it would appear now.
I think that's probably a fair way of putting it. As I've always said all the way through, this is always just an evolution of where we were.
No, I'm a firm believer, and it's tough, right? Because it potentially compromises your following year. But bird in hand is worth two in the bush in the championship. History taught us that.
Yep.
Let's look at, they're not in that fight, especially with Adrian Newey coming and Andy Cowell setting up a new structure. Their focus has got to be on 26.
The natural break surely has your preparation for the Grand Prix that doesn't include new bits coming.
It's very hard to answer that, Crofty, in a generic way, if I'm honest. You know, you look
answer in an ungeneric way then.
Well, let's look. I'll take Ferrari as an example last year, right? They introduced a new floor in Barcelona.
I said yesterday when you went here, one team principal in the midfield telling me this year, look, we can devote everything for this season, but realistically we're probably going to gain one place.
Yeah.
So what's the point when we'll then go backwards 4 steps next year?
They've been really impressed with him. They say he's offered a dose of pragmatism and practical thinking of going, right, these are our capabilities. Let's not, yes, we'd love to be like Red Bull and be able to, or Mercedes, and produce this and the other, but actually this is...
He's taken race team manager.
Right.
And who else did you want to know about?
But I didn't see Julian on the pit wall there, so I don't think he's there anymore.
I don't know if he is or not.
And he was their sort of sporting director, wasn't he?
Might have looked like a who's who of sports car operating personnel. The murky bit of Dave Greenwood's career when he went off to sports car racing after sort of the late teens, where he was running Kimi Räikkönen.
Okay.
Yes.
You can make a more pronounced, like, left-right by using a bit more of the land on the left.
Yeah.
And widen it, right? So you get 2 overtaking corners, one after the other.
I don't disagree with that. Days when Michael Schumacher and Ferrari were winning everything and dominating the sport, no one else got a look in. It's so much better.
I don't think it's so much that, but I think it's just that the cars. That's what I'm saying. Nothing was perfect, right? They've had its own challenges, but I do. By the way, I was speaking to some of our friends in Melbourne, Crofty.
Were you?
Saying that the excitement and the buzz around the Australian Grand Prix is off the chart. This band, absolutely #1 wherever you go. I was in, whether you go to Sainsbury's or the local coffee shop or gas station, everyone wants to know how will Lewis Hamilton get on Ferrari. Absolutely #1 story.
It's had an off. We were expecting this.
And you know what? That's good for Hamilton to know, because he needs to also, when the VSC gets called, he needs to know immediately which buttons to press to go into the right modes with the engine settings and.
Tiene los ojos bien abiertos por si sale un palo. El picheo, swing a la nada. Inicial, un hoyo grande entre primera y segunda, además. El picheo alto y afuera, la cuenta en un poder a Jorge Alfaro. Vuelve de nuevo el zurdo, el picheo. Ajuste, tiene fuerza. Y en un match importante, contacto de foul. ¿Por qué no?
Para ver el último episodio.
Un toque, cuidado, peligroso. Y no van a sacar a nadie.
Estamos cerrando el octavo episodio. Hay un nuevo lanzador por el conjunto de las Águilas Ibañez, que es el zurdo Fernando Abad.
Mucha gente viendo el partido. Omar Matos, Eddie Batista, Bélgica Batista.
Los Tigres del Licey.
1-1 el picheo. El piconazo. ¡Ay! Se metió en el bao malo. El segunda base y lo logró. Vamos a ver, JC. Llegó baja esta. En serio, vamos a ver qué le sirve en el hoyo. El lanzamiento. La candela entre primera y segunda. Vuelve JC Mejía para. Vuelve la acción, el picheo está sacando un rodado. Neón dando tiempo. 166 de esta red social de YouTube. El rodado entre tercera y short de hit. Allá
para JC.
Mientras tanto, Adelín Rodríguez hizo swing profundo ahora. Sería importante para JC. El picheo. Swing a la nada. Prácticamente ahí en la zona. Vuelve otra vez. El lanzamiento. Solamente. Así que tengo mucho, no le doy calorcito a mi canal de YouTube. Monty Sport. Ah, mira, quiero dar un anuncio también importante. ¡Swing a la nada! Adames. Preparado Giancarlo. Trae cantado, le quitó bastante. Está de lado JC Mejía. Picheo. Llegó afuera, se empareja la cuenta.